Everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
And we're back to our final section of 650 CIL's Talk About Strata. Shannon Salter, Adrian Murray, it's a real pleasure having you in the studio to talk about disputes, the transition to tribunal, what we're going to be seeing over the coming years as we come into this. One of the, or two of the big issues I think that strata corporations struggle with oftentimes are the issues around repairs. When, how far do they get? They haven't repaired something, there's a leak in a roof, there is a building that needs a major construction repair, there are damages to a balcony causing damage to my unit below. These types of jurisdictional issues are going to be under the tribunal. The tribunal is going to have the ability to order strata corporations to actually do things. And repairs to buildings, for example, will be one of them.
Well, we've seen that certainly with the courts, and the name given to those types of decisions have been Tattison orders, because Mr. Tattison obtained the first one. And so courts have in the past ordered repairs to buildings, but again, it's back to the same issues that we've been talking about all evening. The costs are so extreme to, again, get the legal advice, get the lawyers involved, make the court application. So it's almost, again, the contradiction or the irony. We're trying to raise money to fix the building. It's being denied because people say they don't have any money, but we're going to court spending money, which we should really be spending to fix the building. So it's right now, it's all that stratas have, and they use it, but again, welcome relief if the tribunal will be able to make those orders.
Well, in insurance deductibles as well. That's another thing that strata corporations are frequently faced with, are insurance deductibles. They have this ongoing problem where if an owner's been responsible, there has been damage as a result of an overflowed bathtub or a toilet tank breaks, or there's something within the unit that's resulted in the claim where the owner's responsible. Insurance deductibles aren't cheap anymore. Small claims has a window of $25,000. Insurance deductibles are now $5, $25, $50, $100. $250,000, or if there's a major incident, it could be in the millions for earthquakes, for example. So that's a jurisdiction change. Stratas will be able to go and use the tribunal to get an order or a decision for an amount owing for an insurance deductible.
Yeah, and I think you're pointing at something too that is it's important to mention to your listeners, which is that there is no monetary limit with respect to strata issues. So there is a monetary limit within the court's or the tribunal's jurisdiction over small claims matters. So on a voluntary basis, the tribunal can hear small claims for $25,000 or less.
Right.
But on the strata side, there isn't that monetary limit. And we know for a lot of strata issues, it's really not hard to get past $25,000. That can happen in a hurry with repairs issues or even bylaw enforcement issues.
So you have a deck or a balcony repair that affects 3 or 4 other units that the strata is not dealing with. The strata now can be making an application, or the owners could be making an application once the tribunal comes into effect. Ultimately, that results in the strata being ordered to do the repair.
That's right. So under the Act, the tribunal has pretty broad jurisdiction over strata issues. It can order the strata to do something, to stop doing something, or to spend money. And that applies to a whole variety of circumstances that arise every day in stratas.
So there are going to be circumstances in the first few years that arise where I don't know if anybody's going to have all the answers for a bit, right? There are certainly going to be some issues. One of the issues will be, as you go through an assessment on a repair, is this, will the adjudicator, how will they assess what's a credible repair, right? And, who has the right knowledge, whose professional opinion is correct as to the standard of the right repair and the costs and everything that's associated with that. And right now, we oftentimes will have lawyers who represent the strata corporation or the individuals who help the evaluation and the assessment of that process. But that's a little bit of a challenge also in a change with the tribunal.
Yeah, so there's no limit on a participant's ability to get legal advice or help from a lawyer anywhere along the process. So in preparing the claim, in the facilitation phase, in the negotiation phase, you could have a lawyer also prepare your written arguments before the tribunal, help you put together the evidence. But that help can also come from a friend or a family member, a trusted advisor, somebody who you feel comfortable supporting you through that process. So it doesn't need to be a lawyer. but there's no limit on your ability to use a lawyer for those processes. There is one exception, though, and that's under the Act, and it provides that where there's an oral hearing, so an in-person hearing, and that's not meant to happen very often with a tribunal, but in those circumstances, there's a presumption of self-representation. So what that means is that for people who are not under a disability, like who are not children, who are not mentally incapacitated, for other people, they are required to represent themselves before the tribunal unless the tribunal gives them permission to have a lawyer at that proceeding.
Right. Right. So there's a lot of complicated details that need to be worked out on the tribunal yet.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We're committed to making it as good as possible right out of the gate. We're consulting widely with stakeholders. We're listening to what people have to say. We're working really diligently to make sure that it's going to operate at a very high caliber, but it is an innovation. We are starting something new, and so in my view, that means that we have an obligation to keep checking back with our stakeholders, to keep checking back with the public, to continuously improving and incorporating the feedback we get in a really agile, quick way to make sure that we're continuously improving and we're maintaining our commitment to fulfill our mandate of increasing access to justice.
Adrian, this is going to have, what do you think it's going to have as a transformation or effect on the legal industry?
Well, it's interesting because I have talked to colleagues that have expressed a concern that they wouldn't be permitted to attend oral hearings. I take Shannon's point that the whole intent is that oral hearings will be sort of the least likely event. I actually think our business is going to go up. I respond, and most of my clients are strata corporations. Right now, those strata corporations may not want to bother getting legal advice because they think the owner's not going to have any recourse. As I said earlier, owners are going to have recourse. So the strata may find themselves at the Civil Resolution Tribunal. They may want some legal advice, a legal opinion, that sort of thing. They may be more anxious to get their bylaws reviewed because they know they're potentially going to be reviewed by the tribunal. So the tribunal, we used to joke and say there are no strata police when the Strata Property Act came in. The tribunal is now a form of our strata police. And so I think it's going to, from the legal community, I'm envisioning, if I wasn't retiring, getting busier. I'm hoping one day soon to sort of step back from the practice. But for all the young lawyers coming up, their strata, I think, is the thing to do.
Well, we're approaching 31,000 strata corporations in the province, and that's approaching 800,000, 900,000 units. Half of the population in the province either lives in, rents, owns, invests in, vacations in some sort of strata property. If you go to Whistler or you go to the west coast of the island or to a resort property somewhere, odds are you're staying in an accommodation that's a strata titled property. It's a conventional form of property use in the province. And I just, as a person who frequently is involved in the industry on a daily basis with conflicts, this is just going to be a great way to resolve conflicts quickly and just help to get stratas to get back to their focus of business, which is maintain your property, administer your communities, and stop spending so much money on disputes.
And live in harmony. Let's get some of these resolved.
Perfectly honest, that's
exactly.
That's what it comes down to. We should probably play the old Coca-Cola commercial now, right? So that would have been a good song, Dwayne. We should have done that. Closing words, Shannon? Any thoughts that you'd think that the listeners should share? What's the website for the address for the civil resolution?
The website is www.civilresolutionbc.ca.
Okay.
And there you're going to find more information about the tribunal, how it will work. You'll find out a little bit about some frequently asked questions that we get. Guest posts, there's one by Tony up right now on what it's like to be a subject matter expert for the Solution Explorer, but a wide variety of perspectives on the tribunal. So there's also a way to get in touch with the tribunal if you have questions or comments. We'd encourage you to do that. I'd love to hear from everyone.
Well, and we would love to have your emails if you have any questions about Civil Resolution Tribunal, if you have any questions that relate to the daily life of your strata corporation. You can email them to my email directly would be just great, tony@choa.bc.ca. Adrian, Shannon, it's been a real pleasure having you both on the show. We look forward to it in the future. And you know what? When the tribunal is up and running, we'll see if we can actually get some more people on the show to see what their experiences are looking like.
I'll look forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.